From virtual assistants, to autonomous cars, to smart cities, increasingly, the future is now. But as technology advances, questions about its impact multiply. Will robots take people's jobs? Can algorithms avoid reinforcing biases? What happens to privacy? Case Western Reserve is uniquely positioned to help answer these questions. Our research helps forge the future. Our people encourage innovation and deepen understanding.
As I have reflected upon what you've shared this fall about strategic planning in conversations in town halls and surveys, it has become increasingly clear that creating a new future for Case Western Reserve demands a different approach. An approach that draws upon ideas, the energy and experiences of our entire campus, engaging in meaningful conversation about the future of work, society, higher education, and ultimately, our own university. So we're going to do something different that includes activities open to every member of our community.
We'll have groups talking about books and articles and podcasts. We'll have debates about key topics in learning and research. And we'll include speakers beyond our campus. At the same time, we know that some of you may have ideas you are eager to pursue, or even projects primed to launch. So next semester, we will be funding a series of seed sprints to test promising concepts. Finally, we will convene a small group called the Thinkers, who will help us look at all of the themes emerging from these efforts and identify a few broad areas we can embrace now to advance Case Western Reserve's leadership in the next decade and beyond. Both involve application processes, and you'll find more information on our website.
For now, I want to thank everyone who has shared their ideas this fall and invite you to take part in creating Case Western Reserve's new future. Good morning, Case Western Reserve. Can you believe it? That video was shared with our university community on December 21st, 2018, and people said it couldn't be done. They said it takes years to do proper strategic planning, especially at universities. We're too slow. Our processes are too ingrained. And my favorite reaction to this proposal that we put up, anything faster means that the plan is already finished, that you're just doing some window dressing on sets of activities like ours. Well, today, everyone, I can proudly proclaim that you all proved them wrong. Our community rose to the challenge, and it has been an incredible learning, growing, twisting journey over the past few months. And I want you to just look at everyone in this room today. 250 people. You have been nothing short of amazing. Before we move any further, I want to pause for a moment to recognize all of you, our faculty, our staff, our students, and we even have some special guests from the Alumni Association Executive Board here with us today. Our alumni members from the Executive Board, can you please stand up for just a moment? I'd like to welcome everyone, and I want to thank all of you for being here. To give you a sense of the magnitude of this undertaking that we've been calling Think Big, let me just share a few numbers with you. 150 of our community applied to be thinkers, and 14 thinkers and 3 student liaisons were selected to represent not their disciplines, not their units, but everyone, our entire university. Now, these thinkers, who actually prefer to be called listeners, as we quickly learn, they've been moving throughout our community. They've been listening to everyone. They've been learning from everyone. They've also been digging deep into understanding some of the trends and influences and challenges that are confronting private research universities today. They've challenged me, they've challenged each other, and they've challenged some of you. And they have been remarkable. And so I want to thank them for their hard work. 139 of you applied for the seed sprint application process, and there were 17 projects that are here today to show what they were able to do in just 3 short months. I'm incredibly excited to see their presentations today, and Lisa, in a little bit, is going to walk through some more details about these sprints, the purposes of the sprints, what we learned, and what your role today will be in these presentations, because this is a participatory process. So at the end of this, there's going to be some work, and we're taking every opportunity that we can to involve our community at every pulse in order to try to get information for our plan. We've also had some meaningful campus discussions. We've had nearly 50 events that were hosted over the past 2 months. Some had a really small attendance, but some also had a large attendance. Some of the topics that were covered, they really swept the gamut in terms of the range of topics. We've had discussions on things such as increasing campus engagement in the liberal arts. We've had campus discussions about thinking about wealth and health, wealth. Seed sprints, I know everyone's thinking about that. What's at the end of that rainbow? Someone even came up to me and said they have the envelope of the winners. Just read this. But some of the campus discussions really were around campus engagement in the liberal arts, health and wellness for students, and making the faculty senate more effective. We've also had about 120 meetings that have been attended either by the thinkers or by members of my team as part of our planning process. We've talked about who we are as an institution, what we want to become, why we need to make hard strategic decisions. And we've also heard some very tough things, but we've also heard some very creative, insightful, and future-looking concepts that I think are going to be very healthy for us as an institution moving forward. Now, while we're not finished yet, we still have about a month before we cross the finish line. We have learned a great deal about where you, our community, wants to take us. Now, when we started this plan, I thought we were headed towards some big ideas that we would implement across the university, a few big bets that we would consider. Now, while we're still headed towards identifying 4 strategic priorities, which we're going to be discussing a bit at the end of this program, I now have a completely different lens to approach this plan as a result of all that's been happening this semester. We had to start first by defining who we are and who we want to be. I didn't expect this to be such a large conversation, but it really has been. I want to share with you just a few things that we've learned along the way. Now, first, let me be absolutely clear. Let me underscore what I think is obvious. We are a cutting-edge research university with an impressive collection of professional schools offering a rich learning environment. We will remain so, and we want to be a better, greater research university. But what exactly does that mean? What is the essence of us as a research university? As we started searching for this, we started talking about this process as finding our North Star. And along the way, we discovered something. With comprehensive research at our core, we are a place where humanity, science, and technology meet. Where humanity, science, and technology meet. There's something about this confluence that is uniquely us. There are some members of our community who talk about this as interdisciplinarity or transdisciplinarity. We are definitely a place that embraces linkages and connections. People find one another, they collaborate, they innovate. But I don't even think terms like interdisciplinarity truly capture our essence, that distinct character of Case Western Reserve University. Now, for what I'm about to say next, some of you have heard this story, so please, those of you who have, indulge me for just a few moments. For the rest of us and everyone else in the room, if you want, please close your eyes for a moment. I want us to imagine in your mind another time. Take a mental journey back with me to ancient Greece. It's here, interestingly, where I think we can find a deeper element of ourselves. Who is our mascot? You can answer, and you can open your eyes. I meant that figuratively, not necessarily literally. Spartans? Spartans. The Spartan. Now quick, where are we located? Think about this for just a minute. We are due north of Macedonia, several miles east of Illyria. All of these are places that are referenced in the ancient world and around the Greek area. We're nestled in the very crux of University Circle, and there was a document that was produced in the early 1900s, a tourist guide of this area that Pam Davis passed along to me. This area at that time, University Circle, was once called a modern-day Parnassus, for those of you who know that mountain. So we inhabit one of the most vibrant cultural, educational, and medical hubs in the world. Case Western Reserve inhabits an incredible gathering place for human creativity, human curiosity, and human innovation. Now, in ancient Greece, there was also a place like this. It was called the Agora. Agora literally means meeting place or place of assembly. And in the ancient city-states of Greece, the Agora comprised the focal hub of intellectual, athletic, artistic, spiritual, political, and commercial life. All of this was convened in this common space. The collision of ideas, of functions, the constant interaction that happened in the Agora, it became a nodal point for ancient Greek society. It helped define their community. There's a little matter of slave trading that also took place there, which we're going to just pause for a moment. There are other parts of this metaphor that work. We'll interrogate that later. But there were some other very interesting things that happened. So if we excise the slave trading, I believe that this concept of agora suits our plan well. It suits what we're trying to produce at Case Western Reserve University. And I think agora helps define us. I think our brand of integrated learning, research, inquiry, and teaching is actually informed by our rich connections and conversations, the kind that only we can have in the realm of higher education. The seed sprints that you're about to see, they're a rich testament to all of this. And I think that our style of academics, how we teach, how we learn, how we do our scholarship, I think all of this is more captured and maybe even influenced by the metaphor of agora. We offer agora academics to the world. Agora, University Circle, Case Western Reserve, the meeting of humanity, science, and technology. It is a compelling, intoxicating cocktail, and it's one that I think undergirds our identity. Now, what's clear in the context of this planning process is that we want to be better. We want to be greater. To be the cutting-edge research institution that we wish to be, I've also learned through this planning process that we very much need to attend to some of the items that are holding us back. And I'm putting these into two categories. They're cultural and operational categories that we need to tend to. Culturally, we are talking about issues around how we treat one another, how we trust one another, how we behave like one university. Now, if we are indeed an agora, if we believe we are a world-class university, we need to do some adjustments on our culture collectively. The goodness that exists in so many parts of this campus, it has to be felt through our entire campus, and we need to work on that. Operationally, we need to work on some of our systems. We need to invest in our research infrastructure. We need to figure out the systems for supporting interdisciplinarity. We need to think about how we participate differently and more successfully with industry. We need to ease the burden on staff and faculty when managing the research enterprise. We need to tend to our library. We need to examine salaries, and we need to do more. We've started accumulating a long list of operational matters that need attention, and we know they exist. We know that they need attention. The message is that we hear you. But the bottom line is that we need to attend to our cultural and operational issues to be a world-class university. But one of the big lessons in this process has been that while all of this is necessary, it is not sufficient. To make sure that we don't lose sight of those, again, of those cultural and operational issues, we've actually started to index and include these items on a punch list that we're going to be prioritizing and managing over the next academic year, and we're going to be working on those. But that work is arguably not the most strategic, and it will not necessarily catapult us in the rankings, nor will it allow us to weather some of the storms, some of the headwinds that higher education will be facing in the years to come. Now, I've started to talk about some of these challenges in a number of forums, so I'm not going to really go in detail over all of those, but let me just remind you quickly of some of the things that we know are coming. The year 2026. This is a year that we know there's going to be a shrinking college-age population. We know that there are going to be demographic shifts in those who are going to be attending colleges. We know that there's going to be a tighter and tougher competition for students. At the same time, we don't see an end in sight to the soaring nature of sticker prices for college. We also don't necessarily see an end to some of the contraction that's happening in terms of the expenditures of federal research and federal research dollars. In fact, federal research investments in our enterprise. We also know that the way students learn and what they want to learn and how they want to learn is starting to change, and the list goes on and on and on. All of this brings us back to our purpose today. In the midst of these changes that are coming and the questions that any major research university must tackle, we need to understand our greatest opportunities. Identifying those opportunities comes from the ingenuity of our community, their interpretation as to how we can solve problems, how we can enhance our common curiosity, and how we can extend wonder. I think today we will acquire some important data points that are going to help Case Western Reserve identify 4 priority themes that we can collectively design and develop over the next academic year to serve our North Star. Throughout the summer and throughout next academic year, we're going to be working together collectively to map out and design how we will take on those 4 strategic priorities. We're going to do this alongside our cultural and operational work, and we're going to hopefully do this together as one university and as one community. Now, before I turn the program over to Lisa, I have 3 assignments for you today to help us move further ahead in our journey. Point number 1, respectfully listen and learn from your incredible campus colleagues today, jotting down your thoughts on your handouts about what you've heard. Point number 2, provide us some feedback on the seed sprint process itself, which you're going to find on the last page of the handout. And at the end of the sprints, point number 3, we're going to start talking about next steps, the 4 priorities and themes. You will have a series of questions to answer and ponder at your tables, and I'm going to ask that you take them seriously, and we're going to walk you through the process. So with that information, I would like to turn it over now to Lisa Camp. For those of you who don't know, Lisa Camp is my chief of staff. And she's going to walk us through some processes and provide some additional details about the seed sprints. I want to thank everyone for everything that you've done. We've just begun this journey together. We're going to continue this over the next academic year. And when you return to campus, I want everyone to be prepared to roll up your sleeves to work on designing some solutions and actions that are going to come out of our Think Big process. Some cultural, some operational, and some strategic things that we have to look forward to ahead. So we're going to do all of this work together, and I am certainly looking forward to it. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Provost Vinson. This has been a very fun thing working with him, and I think it's been an incredible process, so thank you all for doing this. So, seed sprints. We had 3 reasons behind doing the seed sprints. So, reason 1 was to unlock all the crazy ideas that were out there in this community, because there were lots of them. And I will say of the 139 that were received, the vast majority, well, actually more than probably 95% of them were really great ideas. And it was really difficult to pick 17. So know that your community is like bubbling with all kinds of things happening, and what you're hearing today is just a small piece of what is among you. So know that. The second thing is that we wanted to do this to help gain some ideas, some themes, some solutions to problems and concepts that we're pulling together around the strategic plan. So one thing I want to make sure everyone's clear, just because a seed sprint was funded and presented doesn't mean that's going to be what is going to be a strategic priority, right? It's informing what's going to be our strategic priorities, right? So I want to make sure that's clear. And then finally, and probably most importantly, we wanted these seed sprints to build community. We had asked the sprinters and the ideas to break down silos academically, to break down silos around faculty and staff and student interactions, around departments, divisions. We wanted to come together as a community. And it's been phenomenal to see that happening. I mean, just seeing everyone here has been great. So those were the main reasons why we wanted to do that seed sprint. And I have to do a huge thank you to the 17 teams and what we asked you to do over these 3 months. I mean, we know it was crazy. We know it was nuts, but you all rose to the occasion. And so we can't wait to hear what you've done. So with that, we're going to have everyone come up. It's going to be 5 minutes each, and it's going to be boom, boom, boom. I'm going to have little cards. I'll show you what they look like because I forgot them. So in the spirit of what we do here, 1 minute, 30 seconds, okay? And we're going to cut you off at the 5-minute mark, and we have a couple minutes then for the for the next group to come up. So look at the agenda and get in line over here on this side when it's your turn to come up and talk. At the table, each on your packet, you've got information on each of the sprints and then in some lines to give your comments and your feedback and your ideas. What's your reactions to this? What could it mean for the university at large? What are parts of the idea that we should definitely consider, parts of the idea that we shouldn't? Okay? So that's how that's going to run. And then at the end of them, on the very back page, we're asking you, what was this process like? Because one thing we're positing is that by doing this, perhaps, don't know if we're going to do it, but if we did this once a semester with all the ideas out on campus, is this a good way to share information with our community? Is this a good way for you to learn what everyone's doing in these 5-minute overviews? Maybe it's a good idea, maybe it's not. And that's one thing we want to hear from you. If this is a process and a set of presentations, that's good for you. Okay, so with that, I'll ask the first 3 sprinting groups to come on up, and we will get going.
Okay. Good morning, and thank you for being here. This project begins with the question, what are the benefits of democracy? To date, the answer has been democracy's procedures and democracy's values. But in this era, when people around the world have lost faith in democracy, we need to better understand democracy's tangible benefits, tangible effects on economies, the environment, public health, and security. For example, to what extent do democracies facilitate economic growth, effective response to climate change, disease control, and cybersecurity, to name just a few? And which democratic institutions and democratic procedures are most effective at achieving these positive outcomes? These issues are important in Cleveland, in the US, and in the world. Surprisingly, scholars have provided little insight into these issues. Our team's investigation of existing democracy institutes around the world has demonstrated that they have not focused on the tangible benefits of democracy. Yet our team members have found in their experience working with practitioners and policymakers who advocate democracy that they urgently need this information. This institute at Case Western Reserve will have a competitive advantage providing this information because our team includes not only political scientists and sociologists from the College of Arts and Sciences, as many institutes do, but also faculty, staff, and students from the schools of engineering, law, management, medicine, and social work, and the Center for Civic Engagement and Learning. In other words, we have mobilized experts on democracy, and we have mobilized experts on the different outcomes. In order for ambitious cross-school initiatives like these to succeed as part of the next strategic plan, the university needs to invest in faculty expertise by hiring in those departments that have sustained substantial losses. Faculty interest drives such initiatives, But when faculty are stretched so thin because of lack of colleagues in their departments, then they cannot devote the time and energy to cross-school initiatives. While the next strategic plan is being finalized, our team will be able to continue to make some progress. This summer, we will determine which outcomes we want to examine first and begin to identify research and institutional grant opportunities. During the school year, we will develop a revenue-generating model based on practitioners and policymakers paying for the information and expertise they need. This is a model that will be able to be used by other units at the university as well. During this period, we'll also continue the conversation about our project. In a few weeks, we will provide our initial plan of action and funding request to the Provost. We will request $50,000 for this fiscal year in order to survey the market of policymakers and practitioners, workshop draft research grant proposals, and employ research assistants. I look forward to your comments on the forms today, but also feel free to continue the conversation with me by email. This project can benefit from your expertise, your involvement, and your support. This is a project that will fuel inter-school collaboration, help student recruitment by tapping into youth concern about global problems, and raise Case Western Reserve's international profile. This is a project that thinks big and will have a big impact. Thank you.
Okay, great. Good morning. My name is Glenn Starkman, the Scientific Director of Multi-Sci, the Integrative Science and Technology Cultivator, a freestanding unit of Case Western Reserve University advancing multidisciplinary science on the world stage. I'd like to start by introducing our team, which includes faculty, staff, students, and outside experts. Not just scientists, but key experts in collaboration and innovation, including Tracy Messer from the Weatherhead School's Department of Organizational Behavior, Aaron Henninger, the Executive Director of the Interactive Commons, Ian Charnas, the Executive Director of ThinkBox, and Matt Rainey, Inaugural Director of Innovation for the World Intellectual Property Organization and the Enterprise Director of Multi-Sci. They join Kevin Liu, Patricia Princehouse, Mark Griswold, and I, scientists, faculty, and students, as the Multi-Sci team. Now, there are important scientific problems that cross disciplines, and yet science struggles within 19th century disciplinary structures of language and culture that make it difficult for us to talk across disciplines. Structures of publishing and structures of hiring and promotion that make it difficult to get your work into the public sphere and make it difficult for you to advance within the context of the university. But perhaps most importantly, structures of funding in which national funding agencies and their programs prefer to fund problems within single disciplines. And yet, as we say, important problems, especially in this 21st century, cross disciplines. Businesses have figured out how to address this problem by building teams that collaboratively innovate across disciplines. Since Michelson and Morley, we have had a unique culture here of collaboration across disciplines, based on the proximity, based on our unique size, and also based on the context in which we find ourselves and perhaps the Midwestern culture. We can build on this experience and culture to build Multi-Sci, the integrative structure for interdisciplinary science. How would such a cultivator work? Projects would be selected through international calls for multidisciplinary projects. It would involve scientists from specific disciplines, but they would need help building a team that would include people from disciplines that perhaps they hadn't even yet identified, coming together, and we would help them recruit collaborators both on campus and off campus, help them refine their projects, provide resources, logistics, and expertise necessary for success, and perhaps most importantly, as we've learned from the business world, coach them through their 2 to 4 year term to maximize cohesiveness and productivity. Teams would come together at Case Western Reserve University where they could make use of our students and faculty collaborators for intensive workshops over the course of 2 to 4 years. So how would such a thing work? We would have the original proposal with its disciplines. Multi-Sci would help them identify any other disciplines that would enrich their project. We would bring seed funding, logistics, facilities, and coaching, and perhaps most importantly, Case Western Reserve University faculty collaborators, students, and experts together to put the pieces of the puzzle together with outputs that may be pure science, they may have societal benefit, and they may be products for commercial or processes for commercialization. Those may be ready to go to market, or they may be ready for the next stage of their research, their implementation, or their commercialization. So Multi-Sci is a 21st century structure for the 21st century scientific problems that so many of us would like to address. Its mission is to identify and nourish promising scientific projects requiring diverse scientific and technological expertise that would likely otherwise remain unsupported, and to cultivate select proposals to fruition for scientific, practical, and commercial ends. We will solicit and select projects internationally, curate and support a portfolio of projects over multiple years, and yield pure science, societal benefits, and commercial products that enrich student and faculty research opportunities and CWU's curricula. We currently are building a network of relationships with like-minded scientists, philanthropists, and entrepreneurs in the US, Europe, and UK, and are looking forward to launching a pilot phase in partnership with them and Case Western Reserve University with mutual support. For more information, please visit our website, artsci.case.edu/multisci, or email us at multisci@case.edu. Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Starkman. We should talk later. I'm Brian Grimberg. I'm a multidisciplinary scientist, and when you invent something, the entrepreneurs here on campus want to help you make a company out of it. So I'm Brian Grimberg. I'm in the Department of Pathology and Global Health. I'm also CSO of a $35 million startup based out of Case Western here called Hemex Health. And in my journey to start this company, I interacted with a large swath of the university. And came to realize that there's a lot of entrepreneurship going on here at the university. Every school, every college has some entrepreneurial program, but they don't talk to each other at all. There's many reasons for this, but mostly is they all started sort of independently, and there are a number of roadblocks, not the least of which is academic. So, because I've had the opportunity to meet with all these people in the different disciplines, I thought, well, let's bring all this together. And I think it's exemplified how important entrepreneurship is because I understand there were 18 seed sprints all directed towards entrepreneurship, and this was the only one that came out, mostly because it involved every school. So we got this thing together and started talking, especially to somebody who's done this before, integrating different parts of universities. Dr. Art Bonney, who did this for University of Pittsburgh, who did this for Carnegie Mellon, as well as West Virginia University, bringing together all these different groups and really starting an entrepreneurship program. So in addition to the things going on here at the university, there's a lot going on in the city, the Harrington Foundation, Jumpstart, Bioenterprise, but again, they're not well integrated and don't work together. We identified a lot, obviously there's a lot of concern about venture capital. There's a thought that most venture capital is stuck on the coast, especially San Francisco and Boston. And part of that is because that's where all the innovation is thought to occur. But really here in the Midwest, in Ohio and Cleveland, there's a lot going on here. And as exemplified by the Opportunity Corridor, the state of Ohio is investing $300 million into bringing companies right down on 105th. But we have no shortage of ideas here. We just need to get them off the page of the lab books and out the front door. So we're one of the big problems the provost will need to address is when we need more academic involvement, but there's a major roadblock between having students, say, in the School of Medicine take courses over at the School of Business and vice versa. There's a hard way, and a big problem with that is tuition reimbursement. So that's something the provost can specifically address to help break up that logjam. The other thing is that this is a huge undertaking. It's much bigger, especially when you're starting to think about creating new certificate programs or new degrees and things like that. So there's a lot to be done. So we need to start really small. And the first thing that we did is get everybody together and talking a little bit, at least talking to each other, identifying everything. Dr. Starkman, I never met before, but I'm going to be talking to him a lot after this. That's great, but there's a lot going on, but nobody really knows about it. So at least there's now a better understanding that all this is going on and how we can sort of start to help each other. I think it's going to be a long time to bring all these groups together because there's times when we're one university and there's times when we're individual colleges. And I think the programs, say, in the undergraduate program in biology and physics and chemistry, they're addressing different needs than the translational medicine program over in the School of Medicine. But there's a lot of funding, especially in the School of Medicine, to go on for translational medicine through the Clinical Translational Science Collaborative. And there's no lack of ideas, but the faculty are not really focused on getting these projects out the door. But there's a lot of kids over at the School of Business that are waiting for ideas. There's a lot of kids in the I-Corps program who don't talk to the School of Business, these kids who are investigating all these ideas and seeing if they can be viable companies. So, the other thing that we're really going to need is big involvement from the Tech Transfer Office. There has been movement and an understanding that we can get some of these ideas out the door, but there's a lot of ideas that sort of sit on the floor. And what if we could bring these kids in from the School of Business and have them sift through some of these ideas that the faculty here at the university are coming up with? So that would be great. And then also, the last quick thing is that there's money for this. There's money to integrate university programs from the NIH, which Dr. Bonney has written for, the NSF, the state of Ohio is interested in things like this. So we can get some funding to bring these together, and we don't have to ask the university for additional funds. So, in closing, we've heavily engaged this new, somebody who's done this before. He's from the Midwest. He wants to help us move forward, and I think he's willing to continue the discussion to help further our integration. So, thanks.
Good morning. We have Mike Thomas, who's Assistant Director of Media Vision, and I'm Jeff Gumpf. I'm the Chief IT Architect. We're both part of UTech, and we represent a seed sprint that includes faculty and staff that are listed on the slide. And our goal is to explore how technology can make our classrooms smarter. And an example of some of the things that we'll be looking at include facial recognition for attendance tracking, geofencing for location-based information dissemination, augmented reality and virtual reality. But the first technology out of the box that we've looked at is using voice control in the classroom, and Mike will talk a little bit about that.
Good morning. Well, as Jeff indicated, we started sprinting, I think it was in February, and we began working with a vendor partner of ours to create a tabletop demo of one of our typical classrooms using voice control. And the key here is that we didn't have to change anything with regards to the system we're currently using. We added the voice control, and we produced a little video for you to watch rather than drag it all in here. So if we could roll the video.
Hi, I'm Bob Scheller. I'm here to demonstrate the voice-activated technology-enhanced classroom powered by Crestron and the Amazon Echo. What I have before you is a classroom that you would normally control from a touch panel like you do elsewhere on campus. Instead, for this room, we're going to control it by voice simply by saying, Alexa, start the class.
Okay.
And right now, while the system turns on, you'll see that the lights turned on, the screen has come down, the projector is firing up, and we're going to wait a minute for the projector to warm up. So now that the projector is warmed up, what I'd like to do now is switch sources like you would, again, from the touch panel in the room. So right now we have the immersive Solstice displayed on the projector, but if I want to display my laptop, I'll simply say, Alexa, select the laptop.
Okay.
And now you'll see that my laptop has come up, and I can play music. And I'll say, Alexa, unmute the speaker.
Okay.
And then if I want to raise it, I will say, Alexa, turn up the speaker volume.
Okay.
Alexa, mute the speaker.
Okay.
And then if I want to switch back to the Solstice pod, I will go, Alexa, select the Solstice.
Okay.
If I want to write on the whiteboard that's behind the projector screen, I can simply say, Alexa, raise the screen.
Okay.
Alexa, stop the screen.
Okay.
Now that I'm writing on the whiteboard, I can put the whiteboard light back on by simply saying, Alexa, turn on the whiteboard light.
Okay.
And if I have accent lights in the room as well, I can say, Alexa, turn on the accent lights.
Okay.
And if you want to end the class, all you have to say is, Alexa, end the class.
Okay.
This ends our demonstration of how voice control integrates with our technology-enhanced classrooms.
So next steps are pretty numerous. Jeff outlined a bunch of technologies we're going to be looking at. We're also going to be looking at what actually will make faculty their lives easier in the classroom and how to save time. A very unscientific survey we did estimates faculty use about 10 or 11 minutes to get a class started. So how can we cut that down and we can give more class time? Thanks to our friends at the ThinkBox, this tabletop demo lives there, and we've established a lab to develop future classroom technologies and integration. If you're interested in seeing the tabletop demo, you can reach out to Jeff or myself, and we can make arrangements.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me today. My name is Gina Maldonado Powers, and I'm going to be representing Somos Crew. Somos Crew, also known as We Are Crew in English, is our effort to increase retention and graduation rates among the Hispanic community here at Case Western Reserve University. According to Crew Institution research data 2016-2017, the Hispanic six-year graduation rate was at 79%, and enrollment totaled 6% of the population. It's important that we pay attention to these numbers because the Hispanic population is one of the fastest growing in this country, and enrollments in colleges have doubled in the past 20 years. In 2010, Crew went from 3.8% to 7.5% in 2017-2018, so the numbers are going up. Our team, our great team, questioned whether we can increase student retention, graduation, and satisfaction rates. So my team asked the following. Why did Crew students want to come here in the first place? What made them feel at home? But what made them want to leave? So we asked by asking what the students thought. We set up 2 focus groups and sent out a survey. Then we found the most like us institutions and conducted site visits to those institutions with higher Hispanic retention and completion rates. We visited Tulane University and Washington University, and I was actually able to squeeze in a phone call with Brandeis at the last minute. What we learned from our focus groups and survey results was the following. The main reasons they chose Crew were because of money and scholarships, institutional ranking, academics, and many said Crew was willing to fly them out because many of them would not have been able to afford to have done so otherwise. Then we asked what made Crew students want to leave. They responded, Now take a moment to breathe these answers in. Culture shock, felt like an outsider, imposter syndrome, lack of school spirit, and homesickness. Then we wanted to know what made them feel most at home. The response overwhelmingly leaned toward affinity groups, with floor mates and friends coming in distant second. We visited Tulane and Washington universities to investigate best practices. What we learned from both institutions can be summed up in 2 phrases: community and collaboration, and smaller affinity groups, which is actually in alignment with our focus group results. So that was really good to know. Based on the information we have collected, the following are our recommendations for what could and or should be done to increase retention and completion among the Hispanic community here at Case Western Reserve University. 1, have a more involved onboarding process along with more intentional first-year strategies, such as an introduction weekend with culture shock strategy sessions. Have a major career values explorations and assessment session during their first year. I see some people nodding, which is making me feel really good up here right now. Thank you for that. Provide a Hispanic bilingual mental health counselor on staff. Offer weekly campus-wide free food events. Provide a book loan library and laptop checkout service out of an office similar to that of OMA. Begin a co-ed and or single gender fraternity or sorority. Host and fund Hispanic alumni networking events. 2, create a cohort scholarship-based model similar to that of the Rodriguez Scholars Program out of Washington University, where students get scholarship support, get a staff member who meets with them consistently, and gets opportunities to work in the community. We should consider offering a scholarship percentage versus actual dollar amounts to cover the cost of increasing tuition, hire more faculty and staff who represent this population, offer more Latin American studies courses, maybe even a minor, and incentivize mentoring opportunities for staff and faculty. I'm going to pick up the pace because I saw the number 1 pop up. We're going to offer a living learning community for Hispanic students that is cohort-based with a multicultural course internship and service option component, partner with community nonprofits such as Esperanza's Advanced Leadership Program, the Spanish American Committee, and perhaps the Hispanic Roundtable, host a yearly Hispanic Summit, offer a co-curricular approach where we attach a 3-credit class for multicultural housing unit, offer paid study abroad opportunities, and here's a good one, offer financial incentives to affinity groups who are willing to cross-collaborate with other groups on campus to ensure we're not going to be siloed. And create opportunities to explore companies, attend company visits, and connect to paid internships within the first year. In closing, we know that the Hispanic population is growing by leaps and bounds. We want to be prepared instead and be proactive instead of reactive to this reality. This unique group enhances our community, but also brings with it a unique set of challenges. As an institution committed to diversity and equity, we want to do all that we can to successfully embrace this opportunity. Thank you all for your time.
Good morning. My name is Trisha Mahosky-Ribeiro, and I'm from the School of Dental Medicine, and I'm here to present the program. It has a different name in your program. We decided the name we gave it in the initial wasn't very pithy, so we changed it to IGROW, Interdisciplinary Grant Review Opportunity Workshops, which works a lot better for the email. Real quickly, I'd like to introduce our team members. We have John Pranarjan from the Cancer Center, Amanda Ross from College of Arts and Sciences, Margaret Rodebush from the School of Nursing, and Joan Schenkel from the School of Medicine. We are a group of administrators on campus who mainly deal with research. We live and breathe research and support the faculty going after grants to support their projects and their careers. Though we deal in disparate areas and different disciplines, there's one common thread that we all recognize as an issue is the desire for guidance and mentorship, especially for junior researchers, on how to grant write, on grantsmanship and how to prepare grants to improve our chances for funding. As we know, there's a lot of experience on this campus. Just our federal expenditures for fiscal year 18 is over $500 million. That doesn't include industry or foundations. So we have to be able to harness that experience on campus. And we feel that we can use that to help promote the research enterprise. The main idea is if we improve what's going out the door to submissions, we can increase our chances of success. And the byproduct of that is collaboration between the different schools and departments within the university, which in turn leads to more grant proposals, which is a continuous good cycle. So the framework we constructed by looking at some of the smaller internal programs that are here on campus, as well as looking at some of our peer institutions to see what they are doing. We decided to focus on 3 specific time points in the research life cycle, a chalk talk or brainstorming session, a submission-ready review, which would simulate a mock review panel, and also a post-decision review. So once a proposal is not funded, we can take a look at the comments and decide how better to move forward. We solicited participation from faculty as both reviewers and reviewees, and we managed to schedule 2 Chalk Talk brainstorming sessions, 1 submission-ready, and 1 post-decision review. All of these review panels included members from at least 2 management centers, so we did try to emphasize the cross-disciplinary, interdisciplinary review. Some of the revelations we had, we severely underestimated the time constraints on this program of scheduling faculty across campus. For the amount of prep time that we would require from both reviewers and reviewees, the 2-week lead time that we asked for participation really wasn't enough. We also learned that cross-discipline reviews are kind of controversial within the university. There are pros and cons. On the con side, people think if you don't have a basis in a specific discipline, you can't give useful feedback on a grant proposal. However, conversely, we feel that this is mainly marketing. To sell a proposal is marketing. So the more input someone can get on a proposal or a submission, the better off you'll be. The participant feedback we got from our evaluations was extremely positive. They felt this program was valuable and needed to be expanded across the university, with a caveat that our group may have been a bit biased since they were willing to participate in the first place. The 2 main barriers that we noticed were the time, of course, as mentioned before, and also some sort of an incentive for the faculty to participate. Not necessarily financial, but at least some sort of recognition that they're participating either as counting towards service, toward tenure track, or some recognition by either the school or their department that they are participating in a useful program. So where we go from here, the answer to that question is, right now we're not sure. We had some internal discussions within our team because, as many of you who are involved in research know, research submission is a long game. It takes 6 to 10 months to get a decision and decide on, to actually see a financial ROI on the investments. Among the team, we still have ongoing discussions about how best to move forward, but we do all believe that this is an exciting program, an important program to move the research enterprise forward with the university. And it requires some institutional investment of a dedicated person to run the program and not just a ragtag group of administrators trying to tack it on to their other jobs. Without institutional support at this stage, we do plan to continue our work. We plan to engage in some grassroots activism because we feel that the more we can get the faculty to see that this is valuable and important to them, that the more we can build support and have a grassroots movement. And working within our own management centers to try to reach out individually with the research deans and our own department chairs and professors, we feel this is a good and beneficial program and will continue to grow. So thank you very much.
Good morning, Case Western Reserve. My name is Grant Goodrich, and I'm the director of the Great Lakes Energy Institute. For over a decade, increased research and scholarship in water has been proposed by various members of the campus community as a potential new focus. The Case Water Seed Sprint is a partnership with the Institute for Smart, Secure, and Connected Systems to build that complete picture of who is working in water on campus and what Case could and should be doing around water. Here's the story of what we have learned and where we think we could go next with water. Let's try the video. In addition to mapping faculty's diverse research interest around water, Our seed sprint allowed us to have conversations with internal and external stakeholders and with students to learn more about the campus experience around water. As our seed sprint progressed, a number of things surprised us. I'd like to share 4 of our primary revelations. First, nearly all of our students have no real exposure to water as a global issue, and shockingly, no encounter with Lake Erie during their time on campus. Some students are deeply engaged on water. Students like Claudia Jazowski, who along with the Student Sustainability Council are striving to eliminate single-use plastic water bottles. However, most students only have what we would call a transactional experience with water, meaning that they turn on the tap and expect water to come out. Looking beyond water, it is not clear that students are developing sufficient knowledge and connection to the world around them to face a future of growing climate uncertainty. Second, water is potentially and excitingly a new space to engage students through experiential learning and developing the campus as a living lab. By connecting students to how water is used across campus, they may develop a greater appreciation of its importance. This might be a critical step in transforming their relationship with water to one that is more informed and provocative. Identity is a major missing piece. Identity is currently tied to schools and programs. In conversation with students, few undergraduates could tell us what it means to be a Case Western Reserve student. Could we develop a new identity and mission statement around the idea of preparing leaders of tomorrow to tackle critical challenges facing our society and planet? Could being a great university on a great lake be part of our story? Finally, the new Coleman P. Burke Center for Environmental Law and new leadership at the Swetland Center for Environmental Health represent important opportunities for scholarship in water. Outcomes. We began this seed sprint focusing on water-related research. However, we realized that that's not where the greatest opportunity lies. The opportunity right in front of us is to engage and educate our students on water. Here are 3 things we learned that may be helpful for the Provost's office to consider. First, research funding opportunities do exist, but are somewhat limited given our faculty areas of relevant expertise. A strategic investment would be required to develop CASE as a leader in water-related research. Second, students need an education that prepares them to solve critical problems facing the planet. We observe that while CASE students are developing technical skills and knowledge, most aren't able to connect their experience to building a sustainable future. Water is vital to Northeast Ohio and could be leveraged to attract corporate interest and investors. Our campus home near Lake Erie is an incredible asset. Next steps. Finally, I'd like to share a few concluding thoughts with you about where we think we could go next with water. First, we intend to continue to convene faculty interested in water. As we learned, our established strengths in sensors, data analytics, materials, smart infrastructure, electrochemistry, and health could offer new opportunities in water. About 24 faculty are interested in continuing this dialogue to identify collaborative research opportunities. One suggestion for a bold move is to either add a surcharge or ban outright the sale of plastic water bottles on campus. By rejecting bottled water on campus, we could make a powerful statement promoting sustainability. Third, consider funding the Case Water Initiative, a living lab program, or sustainability activities through a reduction in Case water consumption. Last fiscal year, we used 164 million gallons of water. When all costs are factored, water consumption charges totaled $2.8 million. A reduction in water consumption by just 10% would yield sufficient savings to cover startup and staffing costs associated with the new initiative, not to mention creating a great public relations opportunity to promote campus sustainability. Finally, changing the student experience is critical. We need to connect our students to sustainability, to water, and to the natural world around them on campus and in the region. We think water could be part of the next chapter in this story. Do you?
Good morning. I'm Marvin Neiman from the Department of Pharmacology in the School of Medicine, the Associate Professor and Director of the Graduate Program. Many of you who have PhDs realize that PhD training is primarily conducted with individual mentors, where you spend a lot of time developing your technical skills and your research abilities and your research output. However, these skills are not alone are not good enough to be successful in the 21st century. Funding agencies such as the NSF and NIH have recognized the importance of these other skills: leadership, creative thinking, communication, and professionalism in being able to be successful in your career. This is consistent with a survey that we recently conducted, surveying individuals who are hiring new PhDs. What do you want them to be able to do? What can they learn on the job? Over 90% said they want people who can write, critically think, and have leadership capabilities. Only about 20% said that they are interested in a specific area of science. They can learn that on the job. So this is consistent with we've been developing a new curriculum in pharmacology that emphasizes these core competencies. As I've talked about this with my colleagues at research conferences, they are excited. They're like, wow, this is really neat stuff you're doing in developing this curriculum. So we had discussions with biomedical engineering, and because they are interested in renovating their PhD program, and we thought that this could be more broadly applied across campus. So the goal of this workshop, or that we did, was a one-day workshop where we invited 2 leaders of PhD programs, Gunda Laboche from the School of Public Health at Johns Hopkins University, and Michael Bouchard from Drexel University. The goal of the workshop was to move our pharmacology curriculum into practice. We have the competencies we need to do. How are we going to assess these competencies, and how are we going to implement them into practice? And we wanted to learn from them. And the goal there was to take the pharmacology program and use it as a model across campus. The second part of the workshop was how do we develop these competencies to work across biology, chemistry, other engineering programs. The workshop was a huge success. We learned a tremendous amount from our guest, and we've also identified groups across campus who are also interested in this process. One of the early events that we had from this program, I met Matt Smith from the Graduate Studies Office, and we have continued this conversation. He was an active participant in this event. We've also created a means of sharing these information on best practices for PhD training, and this leads to the primary going forward. What we need to really focus on is what we're calling training the trainers, getting people to buy in to this idea that we need to train PhD students not just to be able to pipette faster with both hands, and maybe if they're really good, take their shoes off and work with their toes. The last thing I'd want to end on, 2 final thoughts. On numerous occasions, President Snyder has called for an increase in PhDs coming from this institution. And this is a great idea. However, in order for this to realize, we really need to be a national leader in PhD education and PhD training, and really training people so that they can have a successful career in the 21st century, and not just for academia, not just to be lab rats, not just to work faster and harder in the lab. And finally, I work a lot with graduate students, and I feel it is a moral imperative as an institution that we do the best we can to prepare them for their jobs. And the students commit a significant portion of their lives to the pursuit of the PhD, and we owe it to them to do the best that we can do. Thank you.
So our Hololens team was not able to be here today, but they sent a video to fill in.
Hi, this is Mark Griswold from the Seed Sprint, looking at a quantitative approach to interpersonal communications. Unfortunately, our team couldn't be there today, but we've put together this video to try to give you an idea of what we've been working on and what we hope to accomplish by the end of the Seed Sprint. So our question was whether we could use Hololens as a way to assess teamwork. In order to answer this question, we assembled a group of people from around campus as shown here. So Hololens, as you may know, is a completely self-contained computer that you wear on your head. It has cameras and sensors that are constantly mapping the environment around you, and then it uses a transparent set of holographic projectors to project 3D objects onto your retina that you see in the world. We've been using this for all kinds of applications around campus, primarily our program using it to teach human anatomy. But we've also done other projects looking at advanced simulations like this EMT simulator that we did for the Department of Education. So part of our proposal this time was to take that and expand it out into other areas. And in particular, we were going to build an escape room that would allow us to test teamwork among everyday people. So the simulator that we did for the Department of Education was part of the EdSim challenge, and it really formed the motivation for the project that we're doing. One of the most powerful things to come out of that simulation was actually what we could do after. So this is a review of the simulation where in the center you see each of the 4 participants represented by avatars. You can see where they're looking and where they're standing. And then in each of the boxes you get a video feed of what they're seeing. We also did speech to text on each of their feeds so that we could get a real-time transcript of the whole experience. So based on that, we realized that we could measure many things that were important for judging interpersonal communications and teamwork. So we could see where each of the people were standing. We could see how close they were standing to others. We could look at their gaze or what they were looking at. We could have their voice, which would give us a transcript and lots of other factors like the word counts that each person was saying. We could time the amount of time it took to complete each of the tasks, which gave us response latency, and we could even see who was performing the specific tasks. We could see whether they were accurate. And then again, as I showed in the last slide, we could get a video capture of each person's point of view. Based on those key things, we could get a lot of other derived measures which are important in the social sciences, and I'm not going to go through these, but these are all very important factors in determining whether a team is working well or not. So one of the key parts of the Seed Sprint project has been to build a new modular database framework that allows us to very efficiently store all of those factors that I talked about on the previous slides. The other part of the project has been to implement the escape room. We've settled on a format where the groups will have to solve 4 puzzles to escape. This will be a fully holographic escape room, so it won't be difficult for them to physically escape, but the problems will be of increasing difficulty. And after the discussion among the faculty, we've focused on puzzles and situations where each player has only a partial set of information needed to solve the problem. And in a way, this forces the group to work together to be able to solve the problem. So the first puzzle we've implemented is a rather simple one. It's kind of a warm-up puzzle. Essentially, there's a ring of balls, each with different numbers, and the members of the team must tap them in order. But each player only sees a quarter of the numbers. So each one would only see, for example, 4 of the 16 numbers. And if they make any mistake in tapping them in order, the puzzle resets all the way to the beginning. So this is an idea of what this looks like. So you can see the ring of white balls. And in this case, the player only sees 4 of the balls. Back on a computer, we've implemented a recording console where you can see now each of the 4 players represented as avatars, and we can watch and see how far the group has gone along. This is the server that's storing all of the data in the cloud for further replay. And then using that same application, we can watch a replay of the experience when we're all done. But we think it's particularly powerful to actually watch this back in the simulation environment. So in this case, each of the 4 people who just went through the experience are now watching it again. They can see where each one of them were standing, and they can see the transcript over their head as to what they were saying. So we've already implemented this kind of real-time transcript saving, One of our collaborators says that this would typically cost $10,000 per study just to generate a transcript from an experience like this. So just to sum up where we are right now, we think that HoloLens will be a valuable tool for analyzing group learning, teamwork, and other difficult to study areas. Based on our faculty meetings, we've got a list of first targets for the analysis of group dynamics and teamwork. We have some functioning database code that we think can be added as a module to almost anything that we've developed on campus. And over the next few weeks, we'll be finishing up the escape room puzzles and hopefully starting to test this in some initial experiments with volunteers. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Again, thank you very much for your support of this project.
I'm excited to share with you the results and next steps of our seed sprint, which was seeding technical art history across the Cleveland art community. So this project had very specific technical goals, but more importantly, it had a broader purpose, which is to establish and expand collaboration between the arts, engineering, and sciences within Case Western Reserve and also across our greater university circle community. So from a technical perspective, we were looking at a new method called optical profilometry. We're looking to apply this method to art connoisseurship and conservation. So just a very simple overview of that. Basically, you use light to look at the surface texture of objects, including paintings. And then we wanted to apply machine learning to the data to see if we could use it to discern between artists. So technically, this was very successful. And in terms of our outcomes, we were able to distinguish between two artists with over a 90% accuracy, which validated the method. And we have examples of the data up here on the top right, and you can see just by looking at it that the height data are very different visually than the actual painting that we started with, which was over on the left. But in terms of the broader revelations, one of the things that the quad chart asked for was what surprises you ran into. And to me, the biggest surprise was how easy it was to work within this team, who I would like to introduce today. Most of them are over here at this table. We have Dean Yoder, who is a conservator of paintings at the Cleveland Museum of Art. Professor Tony Ingressano, who's a professor of paintings at the Cleveland Institute of Art. And his students actually provided the paintings for this. So that was great from my perspective. I run an optoelectronic materials lab here at Case Western. I'm a chemist by training, and so it was really great for us to have these tangible samples to work with. And then we had people within the art history department and the physics department at Case. This included numerous PIs, Professor Bowman-Scallon from art history, Professor Singer, Hinchesky, and Starkman from physics. And it may seem like we have a lot of physicists on this list, but there's two distinct subsets of physicists. There's the people that work with optics and the people that work with bio and astrophysics that do a lot of machine learning, and those are two very different fields within the department. But probably most importantly, I want to tell you is that this project was graduate student motivated and led. So we had 4 excellent graduate students doing the planning, the experiments, the data analysis, and they're here today. So we have Marcio Dwyer and Cecilia Adhikari from physics, who did the machine learning, Michael McMaster, who did all the measurements, and Lauren Smith from art history, who's in the back over there. So in a course of the project, which is roughly 3 months, they had all of their usual activities. Lauren just passed her comps. She led an outreach program in STEAM through the Cleveland Public Library. Michael defended his PhD. Everybody's looking for jobs, right, doing their work. And they did all of this. And they presented their results at a collaboration event earlier this week that had over 40 attendants and had a panel at the end where we were able to really establish what our next steps for this work were, not only within our team, but within the broader Case and University Circle community. So out of this work, we wish to further develop transdisciplinary research and education. We've developed this new methodology, which we're going to use to write some publications. Right, we've thought about how we can incorporate these things into experiential learning for the students and into coursework, and how we can grow into a research program that will incorporate these ideas and many more. We've started identifying future sources of funding, and including the Crest Foundation and the National Science Foundation. The NSF in particular has a program that came out of their 10 big ideas for the future, right? So this is very resonant with our Think Big, called Growing Convergence Research. And this project was very much the convergence of the technical part, the art part, and a lot of really interested and interesting people that are excited about where this is going in the future. So we hope to talk to some of you about this going forward as well. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nick Berendt. I'm the Executive Director for the Institute for Smart Secure Connected Systems, or ISACS. I'm also a proud CASE alum. I'm here to talk about this idea of CASE as a living lab, where the campus and the community themselves become the loci for experimentation, study, practice, and observation. And this idea is that we can amplify and accelerate our education and research missions. This is not a new idea. In fact, as an undergraduate here, I fondly recall Art Huckelbridge's land surveying class that had us out measuring the campus with theodolites and levels and steel tapes and all of that. And this has been happening at Squire Valley View Farm and other places. And we have other examples on campus, like the MSAS building, which has solar panels on the roof, a large battery storage system in the basement, and communications with the electric grid operator, such that we can modulate the energy flows of the building based on occupancy and usage and solar forecasts and all of that. These and other living lab examples, though, are all one-offs, where faculty and students and intrepid staff have to forge their own paths. We think for this to really come into fruition, we need to find ways to better integrate the research, the operations, the education, and the services of the campus behind this idea. For outcomes, the team, including faculty from engineering, medicine, the College of Arts and Sciences, UTech, ISACS, students, the Office of Sustainability, has spent the past few months researching and interviewing other campuses who have living lab initiatives going on, including Harvard and Princeton and Portland State. And we've held a workshop to synthesize these ideas and how we might bring this into being here at CASE. Based on our research and observation, we think there are clear opportunities for experiential education and applied education on the campus through these techniques. For example, one can imagine a multidisciplinary project with students exploring campus water usage and building analytics capabilities and implementing behavioral change strategies to reduce campus water consumption, as Grant alluded to earlier, working with UTech and our facilities organizations. The MSAS building is a clear example of how we can do this real research, moving from modeling and simulation to real-world examples and testing things as they really have to run in the real world. And there are clear avenues for real-world convergent research in this space as well. Right, we think of digital futures, this space of Internet of Things, augmented and virtual reality, autonomous and connected vehicles, artificial intelligence and machine learning. All of these things are beginning to have an impact on our campus and are continue to rapidly accelerate. And we have an opportunity to build collaboration and convergent research opportunities across all the schools with these sorts of ideas. There are clear issues to be addressed around security and data privacy and data usage and IRB and et cetera, but these are all tractable problems. And in fact, they provide some educational opportunities, which we'll talk about. Revelations, the other universities we talked to, their living labs initiatives came primarily from their sustainability office. While we think sustainability is a natural place to start, we think that just scratches the surface, and there's huge opportunities to build a much more comprehensive approach. And we think there's a distinct opportunity for CASE, given our schools and our current location, right, in this urban environment, to build unique and differentiated strategies in this area around education and research that could become faculty and student attractors. I alluded to this earlier. Another revelation was that the Living Lab can serve as an applied learning opportunity for what we think of as ethical, legal, and social implications, or ELSI, or ELSI for short. One could imagine students in a Living Lab deploying facial recognition technology, right? Not only having to deal with the technology implications of deploying that system and building it, but also having to deal with the data privacy issues, the social behavioral connotations that they may not have thought through, algorithmic bias, and similar issues. Critically, a comprehensive implementation of this is going to require a spanner or a facilitator to work across the university to advocate and guide and connect and really stitch this together in a comprehensive fashion. In terms of next steps, no surprises here. We think for this to really be implemented, the senior leadership needs to convene discussions around this and decide how best to integrate it into the plans, build the resources, and identify the capabilities that we need to move this forward. For the Living Lab to really take root, we need to institutionalize this mindset as a cultural idea that our facility here, not just the classrooms and the labs that are demarcated for research and education, can actually become part of the learning experience and the researching experience. Once we can engage our campus and community, we think we can go out into the neighborhoods and expand this into the region. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Narcis Vayesh. The idea for the Food Institute Seed Sprint, which is now called the Terra Center for Global Food Security Studies, has grown out of the perceived need to develop a response from our institution to the fact that our food supplies are threatened by climate change and our local communities continue to struggle with healthy food access. In the word terra, the concepts earth, resources, and resilience are adequately captured. During the 2 months, 55 people participated from all areas of our institution, and we also learned from Johns Hopkins University and Oberlin College. 30 of us joined a retreat at the university farm where we used the appreciative inquiry model to encourage the sharing of high point stories. Students were central to our process. Please enjoy this video.
I think there's a lot of good discussion happening around campus surrounding food, but there's no way for all of those conversations to be tied together.
I was really excited about this retreat because I've been talking a lot in my research about the importance of collaborating.
Food is this interesting medium that draws together all the different disciplines.
We've organized professors and students and faculty to participate in really co-creating what this center could be in the future.
How we can better utilize the resources that are available here at CWRU.
There have to be this connection between courses that teach about food and then visits at the farm.
It has been argued that food connects all of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
There are opportunities to address issues of poverty and injustice in the community through food.
Really addressing how we can sustain ourselves and the university and the world through what we eat and grow.
What I see with this institute is to see the connection between the academia aspect and the experiential.
This type of an institute at Case Western could unify across all the schools. It's really exciting to see all of the participants here today.
People are excited to talk about this, and people want there to be something of a food institute.
Food has so many implications in terms of how things play out in the real world.
How can CWRU come together and enacting a food system transformation through community service, research, and education.
And I think that's what this retreat was really designed to do, to figure out how do we make those conversations implementable into things that will actually benefit the campus community and beyond.
Thank you. So our outcomes. So it was very clear to us that our students are ahead of us. They actively seek to understand the most pressing issues of the 21st century, but they report difficulties finding outlets and connections to begin and carry out sustained projects. They seek out problem-focused, project-based learning with strong foundations from all disciplines. And these observations hold importance for recruitment to meet the needs of a new generation of students and also for campus community cohesion, as meeting these needs will require the creation of interdisciplinary research and mentorship opportunities. Through these efforts, CWRU also strengthens its contribution to global sustainability goals, which is a branding opportunity as well. So we envision the Terra Center to function as an incubation space to develop and use a new approach to learning through these 4 aspects, and you can see that on the tree, but we have a bigger version available. So the roots show the importance of sensory experiences and nature-based experiences with food systems and utilizing current untapped resources, which is our 400-acre university farm. We wanted to make sure that the foundational knowledge puts emphasis on the importance of all subjects, including arts and humanities. We would like to connect this foundational academic knowledge with real-life food citizenship and to continue to design problem-based sustained projects that are relevant. Our next steps are to develop a small-scale pilot program through this model, for example, a study abroad immersion on the farm, to promote further collaboration on campus and develop partnerships, and participate in global collective competitions that we have identified, and to set this Terra Center up as a resource center and secure funding. Thank you so much.
Good morning. I'm Janice Gerda. I'm the Associate Vice President for Student Affairs, a proud member of the class of 1989. Hello, alumni folks. And I am obsessed with Case Western Reserve University history. And one of the very best parts of this seed sprint for me has been the opportunity to sort of get that word out there, and so many other people who are obsessed, okay, maybe really interested in Case Western Reserve history have contacted me. Some who respect it but didn't know a lot, and others who were just sort of curious and willing to give 50 minutes or an hour and a half or 2 hours to learn more. I've also gotten a chance to work really closely with Kate McCreary over here, and Adrian Hatton, a student who joined us and worked with us, and also 4 other trained storytellers, and I'll tell you more about those in a moment.
For the virtual...
Oop, that's not me. I think I bumped something. So I have 5 minutes. What I really wanted to do this morning was take you all on a 2 to 3 hour tour, point at some different buildings. I won't get a chance to do that, but I'll give you a little start on that and how I get started on these tours when I take folks. The first thing to tell you is that Case Western Reserve, unlike many, many places and things, is not a little thing that got big. It's many different things that started in different places and came together. Like there's a giant magnet in the middle of University Circle and brought it all in here. So therefore, we do not have a story, we have stories. And we do not have a founder, we have a family tree. And so what we've done for our seed sprint is to run a number of tours to show people around the campus, use the physical campus and the physical act of walking, so your blood's flowing while you're listening and learning things, and entertaining things. So it's not necessarily about facts, but about stories and quirky things to show the inside of Case Western Reserve's history and make you feel like an insider as you learn its secrets. We did that by engaging a number of Case Western Reserve members and future members. We ended up running 8 tours, reached over 50 people. We've trained and are in the process of training 4 other storytellers, so there's multiple people who can do this and 2 others on deck, and developed a storyteller guide that got a lot of the information about the basics as we go through. One of the things we found that yes, there is enthusiastic interest in these tours from multiple constituencies. In fact, the more we went around and talked to people, the more I just run into people who said, hey, do you know if anybody gives a tour I have new employees. They don't know their way around. Or someone on our internal Facebook said, I don't feel connected to Case Western Reserve. And I said, boom, can you schedule some time with me? So she and two of her colleagues and I went for a walk, and I think one of those people may be a storyteller soon. We heard things, we asked 2 questions near the end. We asked what themes or ideas did you hear as we walked around, and we got a lot of interesting answers on that. And I also asked, do you feel differently after the tour than you did at the beginning of the tour? And invariably people said yes. Some of the ones that struck me, a parent of a prospective student just was amazed how much, he used the word undersold. He felt like there's so much more here than he got from the regular channels. Another said he did research on the internet about Case Western Reserve, and it said the university was started in 1967, and he looked at the pictures and said, those buildings were not built in 1967. And so he said all the facts were there, but there was no story to tie it together, and he was very thankful for being able to hear it put in a story form so he could hear it. And then finally, just very recently, we took alumni, and alumni are hard. You're like, they know Case Western Reserve. But even alumni tell me there's a lot about the history they didn't understand, or things that make sense now that they saw it. And one alum used the word, felt more endeared to the university 35 years later, being able to hear its secrets and walk around. We learned that the tours can be adapted for different constituency, and we do it a little bit differently, both in length and in content, as we take people around. That we will probably not be doing in them January, February, March, and a good chunk of April. So most of what we've done in the last 4 weeks, and mostly on sunny days. I have a couple that are rescheduled in the near future. Heard from and connected from people all over campus. Next steps, we have trained storytellers, and we are working. Some of them are excited enough that they are organizing their own tours, including a graduating student who one tour wasn't enough for her, so she and I went to Hudson to walk around that campus. We're exploring the idea of more about embedded guides so that schools and units might have someone trained to do that with their own group, and then maybe some themes, architecture, other things. So just one more thing as I'm up with my 5 minutes here. As many people as there are in this room, I want you to know there are lots and lots more people who you can't see. For example, John Frederick Augustus Sykes Fayette, who was our first African-American graduate and entered in 1832, a year before Oberlin was founded, just saying. Also, Carol Cutler, who announced at his inauguration in 1872 that women are welcome here and said they were co-ed. Flora Stone Mather, the benefactor of the Women's College and our beautiful subcampus right outside this window, and of course, Charles Franklin Twing, larger than life and namesake of this building. So my words to the thinkers/listeners is to please use our heritage, our history, our funny, quirky, sometimes sad, but mostly inspiring stories to move forward. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Dale Danifer from the Department of Sociology in the College of Arts and Sciences. This project includes faculty, staff, faculty, staff, and students from 5 different schools, medicine and nursing, MSAS, and Weatherhead, as well as the College of Arts and Sciences. In the course of our work, we examined 20 social science centers and institutes, both domestic and international, and interacted by way of conference calls and in-person visits with 6 of these places. And all of the participants and places we visited are listed on a handout that hopefully you can find on your tables. We left some around during the break. And certainly our project has synergies with a number of the other presentations that we've all heard. Across disciplines, it's becoming clear that social forces impact the world in even broader and deeper ways than has been traditionally assumed. For example, in social genomics, in growing health disparities, and many others. And there's no shortage of social problems in need of analysis, illustrated on the slide. Case social science departments are strong departments, but identifying and pursuing synergies has been impeded by few opportunities or incentives to collaborate across units, an excellent example of the silo problem. Conducting meaningful collaborative work across departments and units is not simple. It of course can be done and sometimes does happen, but in many cases the potential for such initiatives are unrealized, especially when they involve establishing linkages across schools, such as between college faculty and faculty in engineering or medicine. Yet great ideas and interdisciplinary synergies often come from diverse faculty having the chance and space to meet face-to-face, share ideas, and integrate expertise and skills. Related challenges have been the lack of infrastructural support for external funding that leaves CASE at a competitive disadvantage with other universities, and the lack of coordination in hiring across departments, something that could build strength in key areas, pointing to the need and the strategic value of cluster hires. To address these problems, we propose the establishment of an interdisciplinary Center for Social Sciences, or CSS. The Baker-Nord Center has strengthened the humanities at CASE, and the center we are proposing could do the same for the social sciences and thus benefit the entire university. Similar to the Baker-Nord Center, CSS will require a director with faculty status, authority, and experience to bring faculty from across disciplines and colleges together to advance and coordinate interdisciplinary work. The center would identify emerging opportunities, including funding opportunities, and offer occasions for faculty to meet face-to-face, share ideas, and identify problems of common interest. Fresh approaches to big problems often come from diverse faculty working together and integrating their skills. In terms of outcomes, the Center for Social Sciences would break down silos by identifying synergies and supporting novel collaborations across departments and schools, for instance, with the coordination of strategic cluster hires to concentrate research strengths in key areas. Third, it would facilitate external grant submissions and success by identifying key opportunities, and very important, by providing pre-submission critical reviews and support. Fourth, CSS could help create fresh tuition revenue streams by developing and offering postgraduate certificate programs in high-demand subject areas, or possibly innovative master's programs. And finally, we believe it could increase retention of undergraduate students by providing more opportunities to engage in research projects and share the excitement of faculty who are making discoveries about some of the world's most pressing problems. In terms of, I'm out? Oh, 30 seconds. Well, we learned that such centers can be a significant instrument of revenue generation, and if you're interested in learning more, our next steps are to finalize a document that describes the center in more detail, and we're working with development staff about funding possibilities. Sorry.
Morning. I'm Arnold Hirschon, Associate Provost and University Librarian, and I'm here to present the Faculty Research Public Profile System, FRPPS, on behalf of the sponsors and partners. We do have a handout. You can also obtain it online. I have extra copies if anybody wants to see it today. The purpose of the system is to enable us to increase targeted marketing to and knowledge about the exceptional research productivity at Case Western Reserve amongst academic researchers and corporation people around the world. Currently, our international rankings demonstrate that while we have high research productivity, we have low international name recognition and reputation. In short, if we are the best in the world and nobody can find us, then it doesn't do us any good. The faculty profile system will make readily searchable and accessible information by people around the world about our faculty and their departments, their schools, and the university as a whole. The profiles should both increase our institutional competitiveness to secure research grants and strengthen faculty and student recruitment and retention. The process to build the system and the profiles would generate a sense of community as we engage the entire campus to work towards the important common purpose of advancing the university's reputation. The seed sprint process enabled us to secure participation of high-impact research faculty from around the university. They discussed the importance of marketing and identified the essential data fields to include in the system. To understand the system's potential value, 2 system vendors provided us with demonstrations that they customized that included Case Western Reserve specific information so we could see and test current system capabilities in real time. Some examples from those systems are included in our handout. Public profiles will benefit people inside and outside the university. For example, our own Case Western Reserve faculty could market their personal scholarly reputations, make themselves also at the same time more discoverable by researchers at other universities, and those researchers might seek us out to develop new research collaborations. The system may also be used to identify colleagues on our campus with whom our faculty might engage in interdisciplinary research. Research deans in the Office of International Affairs might want to know in what countries we have the strongest current research collaborations or where there are untapped international possibilities. Potential graduate students and faculty would also be able to learn about our exceptional research community. This is all very different from today's environment. The faculty profiles that do exist are inconsistent in format and content. Most are not easily searchable. Information is often incomplete or out of date, and there are no visualizations that expose a faculty member's published research, grants, or the geographic locations of one's collaborators. 2 major system requirements would be that faculty must retain full authority over the content of their public profiles, and the system must require as little time as possible by faculty to manually input or edit the profiles. Therefore, the system should generate and update automatically and systematically the essential publicly available information such as publication citations, impact factors, interdisciplinary interests, and areas of specialization. We can auto-populate much of this from external sources such as Scopus or Web of Science, and grant information from Sparta. Additional information from the faculty information system would be added as new data elements in that system become available. The obvious first step is to make this vision a reality is to secure the necessary financial investment because the platform will not come for free. System implementation would be done in phases, the first of which would be to generate initial profiles online using external data. We would quickly create campus partnerships to select and implement a system and work with faculty to cultivate their participation. This phase 1 could be completed within as little as 3 to 6 months. Once these powerful profiles are in place, we can use the profiles creatively as a powerful marketing platform, making us not only discoverable through passive come and find us marketing, but more importantly, by actively pushing marketing information about our cutting-edge services and research to people around the world. Through this, we can realize our goal to advance Case Western Reserve's reputation by informing researchers at other global universities as well as potential corporate partners and employers about us and place us at the top of minds when they complete their international ranking reputation surveys. Thank you.
My name is Erin Fogarty, and I'm with the School of Medicine, Senior Director of the Office of Grants and Contracts. And I love that I followed my predecessor because he had great information. In an effort towards synergy, our Seed Sprint serves some of the same purpose. We are a $1 billion operation. 40% of that comes from research funding. I have a passion about that research funding. I want to know who's being funded, what departments, what schools, how much are we bringing in, where is the NIH funding, what diseases are they particularly focused on, where is the money being spent, and how can we bring it here to Case for others who are passionate about our research mission. This year, we moved from 25 in US News and World Report to 24. Yay, Case. I'm sure many of you know that already, but if you didn't know that already, I'm very excited about it. I want to explain a little bit about what went on behind that data and emphasize what our Seed Sprint is really about. In order to put that report together, we had to go to multiple different sources, so many that we're familiar with: PeopleSoft, OSPARS, which is a grant reporting system, Student Information System, Faculty Information System, HCM, Sparta. I can go on, but essentially we have multiple systems which can answer our questions. What we found when we wrote the Seed Sprint is by working as one university in a collaborative effort, we gathered others from the Arts and Sciences, School of Arts and Sciences, and the School of Engineering, and Research Administration, and said, we have a lot of questions that we need to ask, and seriously, there were many questions that US News and World Report asked. The amount of time put into that report is absolutely immeasurable, and our need, we identified as a Seed Sprint group, was that we have to have data that's reproducible. We have to have data that's live. We have to be able to access that data. We identified an obstacle in that we are not able, as one university, to, in a uniform way, access the data that we need to access. We also found, why don't we visit other universities? So I would love to say that we went to the University of Hawaii, but we did not. We did deep dives into 7 other universities, 21 total, but the deep dives were major revelations for us. We found that other institutions asked some of the same questions across their universities. As I need to reiterate, we are one university. We found the same with other universities. They gathered faculty together, research administrators, various financial leaders at their universities together to say we need to be able to access data. We have multiple sources. And I'm here to report that they found the answer. And I know that Case, as a data-rich campus, we can do the same. We are, in fact, behind our peer institutions. We sat with mouths watering when we watched Johns Hopkins University flow through their data reporting system. They were able to pull, again, multiple sources together and put dashboards together for PIs. Vice deans are able to ask themselves, what does funding look like this year? PIs, who's bringing in what? Again, what diseases are being funded? And our Seed Sprint focused specifically on that. So in the other universities, I must say that many of them were AAU universities that we talked to, and we found that, yes, this is possible, and yes, we can do it. We are a Tier 1 research university, and it's critical to track these research investments. We want to tie it to our strategic plan. It was really nice to watch another university say, oh yeah, we just tie our decisions back to strategic plan. We do that here at Case, too. Let's get to the next step. There's definitely an ROI and cost recovery in compiling our data in one place, active data with maximum access to it. By doing so, we can produce reports and continuously and get to the next level of reporting. As I said with the ROI, we definitely have an ROI quickly because I can't tell you how many of the researchers and their administrative staff spent hours and hours on putting data together. At the end of our Seed Sprint, we did come up with next steps. We're requesting that the university commit resources to develop and maintain a data infrastructure system for sharing. In fact, we put a declaration together and passed it throughout campus and had research administrators sign it, vice deans sign it, college business officers signed it, department administrators signed it, and research administrators signed it. And we want to thank our Seed Sprint team in working on this and the collaborative effort that came from research administration also. That in our final report, we did provide that declaration, which outlines the needs of the university to combine all of our data sources and create a system that will grab all of the data sources and create one form of reporting, active reporting, driven by access to data that we need on a daily basis, not necessarily at the end of the month. I wanted to request that the thinkers take us there. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you for coming, everyone. This seed sprint began as a modest proposal to bring together faculty and students from art history and STEM departments to explore common interests in research and education. It's grown into much more, as I will describe. There's a remarkable history of interaction between art history and STEM departments at CWRU. However, this interaction has always taken place serendipitously, and there's been no mechanism to sustain it. The new chair of art history, Elizabeth Bowman, has made it a priority to strengthen such interaction, and so it seemed an opportune moment for us to have our Seed Sprint workshop. Oh, so I guess that was motivation. I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was activating things here. The event. So we had 23 participants at our workshop. The number was kept small to ensure meaningful discussion. Participants representing the College of Arts and Sciences, the School of Medicine, the School of Engineering, UTech, the Dietrich Museum, Interactive Commons, the Moore Center, the Cleveland Museum of Art, and the Cleveland Institute of Art were present. Within the College of Arts and Sciences, the departments represented included art history, cognitive science, dance, mathematics, and physics. Participants ranged from an undergraduate student to a former member of the Board of Trustees of the university. Because of scheduling constraints, we missed some participants who were eager to attend and would have made valuable contributions and broadened the range of departments and institutions represented too. Fortunately, we will still have the involvement of these individuals as we move forward. The first half of our workshop consisted of short presentations so that participants could learn about each other's work. It was an incredible display of the intellectual riches at CWRU and our neighboring institutions. It was really a joy to attend. We saw awe-inspiring images of the restoration of the 5th century Red Monastery Church in Egypt. We heard about a course which was co-taught by an art historian and a mathematician about a dance performance choreographed for Hololens, and a new theory of music based on statistical physics. We heard about nothing, which is a subject on which Professor Elena Gertzman of art history is a major expert. This is also a major topic of conversation at lunch. We heard about a collaboration between the Cleveland Museum of Art and ThinkBox to 3D print a 7th century Cambodian statue of Krishna in order to help restore it. About the challenges of transforming a small museum with a collection of 170,000 quirky, fascinating, and uncatalogued objects. About the use of optical profilometry and machine learning to analyze brushstrokes in painting, a collaboration that spans physics, art history, the Moore Center, and CIA, and many other wonderful things. Now, if we'd ended our workshop right here, we could already have declared it a success. Conversations had been sparked, connections made, and seeds for future collaboration planted. However, there was also a second half to our workshop, devoted to an extremely fruitful and open-ended discussion. And this brings me to the lessons and future outlook part of my report. So the key lesson is that we must continue this dialogue and create a community of scholars with common interests who are at present divided by departmental and institutional boundaries. This community must include neighboring institutions like CMA, CIA, and MOCA, among others. We expect this will lead to new research collaborations and strengthen existing ones, such as the Seed Sprint you may have heard about earlier in the morning as well. In the area of education, in the short term, we hope that as we ourselves become better informed about our resources, We will direct our students better. We might see art history majors taking electives in optics, or engineering students seeking a secondary major in art history, or astronomy students doing capstones in the classics. Over the next year, we expect our seed sprint to lead to proposals for a number of interdisciplinary courses. In the long term, these courses could transform our curriculum to take full advantage of all the strengths that are present at CWRU and university circle institutions. As in research and education, there's no doubt that dialogue can impact public outreach to our immediate community and beyond. We have a number of detailed thoughts about how to sustain the dialogue and build the community we advocate, and to bring about some of the outcomes I've mentioned. We hope we can share these elsewhere. So clearly what lies ahead is not a sprint, but a marathon. And I think I'm out of time. I wanted to tell you a little bit about this image, but I hope you've been admiring it for the past 5 minutes. I think it's just a very striking representation of what we're striving to do here. So I'll stop here. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I've got to say, I've had a number of amazing moments here at the university, but this today is certainly one of the proudest moments that I've had in my short tenure here as provost. And it's really due to several things. The first is that what you've displayed has restored a sense of confidence to me in who we are, our capacity, and what we can do. And we did it quickly. I was joking this morning with Lisa. This is the provost office version of the Hudson Relays. So this is in terms of moving, but we're moving at a much brisker pace. Your ingenuity, your vision, your ability to tap into ourselves, your ability to restore the elements of us in ways that imagine where we can go into the future. This is amazing. I don't want this to stop, to be quite honest with you. So I just want to give everyone in this room a collective round of applause for all the hard work that went into this. You are to be congratulated.